Hello, my name is Santiago Curling, and I'm one of the administrators here at Macedonian Christian Academy. We all love a good story, don't we? And I think tonight you're going to hear a wonderful story about how God made MCA come together. It's going to be a story about God's providence and sovereignty and how He's worked in hearts and changed hearts for His glory. Sit back and enjoy a wonderful God story.
Macedonian Christian Academy was founded in 1987 by Dr. Bill and Mary Jane Curling, my parents. They had been missionaries in Mexico for 20 years, and because of an illness my mother had, they had to move out of Mexico and get closer to American hospitals right here in the Rio Grande Valley. While they were here, and since they were here, other missionary families and church planting families needed help with their children during homeschooling courses, and they asked my parents if they would tutor their children. Well, before we knew it, my parents were tutoring 18 children in the evenings. That caused my mother to see the need and answer her Macedonian call. They established Macedonian Christian Academy as an instrument or a tool to disciple young Christian leaders. They wanted to support these other ministers and missionaries in educating their kids. Macedonia was founded in 1987 with the purpose of making an impact for God's kingdom. My parents continued to run the ministry for years. In 1992, my mother was diagnosed with cancer and it went into remission. And in 1994, my mother was diagnosed with cancer again. The doctor said it didn't look good and there was probably no hope. They did continue chemo and radiation, but with all the medical bills that are piling up for the second time now, I believe it was too much for my father to handle. As the administrator of Macedonian Christian Academy and my mother the principal, my dad came and called us kids together and said he was leaving. He didn't know what his plan was, but he knew he couldn't be in the ministry and he didn't want to be with our family any longer. He apologized. He assured us we didn't do anything wrong, but that he just needed to start over. And my dad left. My mother continued going through radiation and chemo treatments while she did the responsibilities of administrating and principaling the school. My mother went through this in such a way that was an example to me and those around her of being willing to suffer for the cause of Christ. She suffered much while continuing to do her ministry. I'm going to fast forward to 1998 when my brother Santiago and I returned from college. We were accompanied by my sister-in-law, now it was Chago's fiance, then Trinette. We pulled into our driveway and we walked into our home expecting to see my mother, who had been doing better and had not been in pain, to find that she was being treated by hospice and she had a morphine drip connected to her arm. The hospice nurse informed us that she would probably make it a few days and maybe a few weeks if we were lucky. Well, we assumed the school would close because there was no more leadership and the terms of the teachers we currently had come to an end. So there were no teachers, no principal, and no administrator. The gentleman, the preacher, Dick Hester, who was going to do the funeral for my mother, informed my brother Chago and I that it's so hard to start a ministry from scratch. If we would just be willing to do our best to keep it open, that he would help find replacements to run the school. We prayed about it and thought the only way that could happen is if God provided experienced teachers who would be willing to come and do all the teaching while he and I sat in the background and fixed broken things and cleaned toilets and helped coach. And the key is they would have to work for free because there was no money. We had medical bills piling up. Well, wouldn't you know it, just like God does. In a matter of 7 days, Cheryl Vaughn came to the hospital to visit my mother and volunteered to teach at our ministry. She said she had 18 years experience. She had run 3 different Christian schools, and she would love to make disciples with us at Macedonia. We informed her there really was no money and that we really couldn't offer to pay her anything. And she confirmed that she was there to make disciples, not to get paid. She confirmed that her goal in life was to make a difference. And God used that in our lives to learn that there are people like Cheryl Vaughn, whom we've come to know many people like Cheryl Vaughn, who have the desire to serve as missionaries right here, though the United States, still the Rio Grande Valley, northern Mexico, or South Texas. The reality is this: that same week, God not only provided someone with 18 years of administrative experience, He also provided the teachers we needed to fill every class. Shelby Enriquez, Mario Enriquez came. They volunteered to teach. They didn't need pay. They wanted to make a difference. To this day, Shelby Enriquez is still with us, 22 years later. God always provides. God provided for my mother by taking her from this life on October the 3rd, 1998, and brought her home with Him. My brother and I have been ecstatic at the growth of Macedonian Christian Academy. We've gone from one campus to 2 campuses, to 38 teachers. Missionary interns from all over the United States have come to serve and to partner with us arm in arm to make disciples. They have fallen in love with our mission. The mission, because of Christ, disciples are made and families are built. We want to exalt Christ in everything we do. We want to leave a legacy. We want to make an impact in these lives so that they would go to every tribe, tongue, and nation and spread the word of God. God has been faithful to Macedonian Christian Academy. I hope He has been faithful to you in a way that you can see it. My desire is that for the next 30 years, Macedonian Christian Academy would have an even greater impact. No matter what life has thrown at us, God has continued to bless and to grow our ministry in spite of difficult times. Our desire is that God will continue to have His name glorified through this ministry. We are so thankful for those who trust us with their students, with their kids. And we're thankful for those who don't have kids, but they partner with us financially. We're thankful for those that come and volunteer and serve as missionaries to teach and make disciples. I hope from this story, what you take away is that there is a light in a dark world, that God is building His kingdom through Macedonian Christian Academy, and that He's a good God, a faithful God, a sovereign God, and that He has a plan and He will do His work in spite of our mistakes and our shortcomings. God is faithful. I hope you'll be a part in some way. I hope you'll get involved in some way. With no strings attached, nothing in it for you, just as a way of glorifying God. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your interest in Macedonia. May God be the glory.
You can see that God has done a whole lot in this place, has He not? There's so many amazing stories, and that's just one of the large stories, but we see stories every single day. We see lives change, people who have been a part of MCA, whether staff or students or families. But even more important than that story is why MCA exists and why we're here. And what makes MCA special is our mission. Because of Christ, disciples are made and families are built. I cannot tell you how important that mission is even more today. As we see what's going on in our country, as we see family values that are beginning to be eroded and challenged, more than ever today, a biblical worldview is necessary for our children to understand what they believe and why they believe it. And so that mission of loving Jesus and making Him front and center of everything we do is so critical and special to us. And so we're passionate about this mission, and we just are excited that you can be a part of it. We want to bring more people and more families in on what God is doing at MCA. And so we thank you for your support, for your prayers, and just for the fellowship of helping us do what God has called us to do.